All right, I'm Eric Kain.
I'm Paul Tassi.
And today, for the Two Player Podcast, we are joined by Dave Thier, a fellow contributor at Forbes. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just back from Europe, so we've been kind of on hiatus here for a while, but we are going to get started again, talk about some games. All right, Paul, what video games are you looking forward to?
Looking forward to
coming out this holiday season.
I'm pretty jazzed to see what they do with Assassin's Creed Origins. I mean, it's been a couple of years now, so I'm kind of pumped to see what all the time off kind of did for the series, and if it is kind of a reinvention or if it's just kind of more Assassin's Creed and they needed more time off. So that's kind of a big one I'm looking forward to. Obviously, Super Mario Odyssey will be a trip in and of itself. And then also on the same day, as we all know, Wolfenstein, the suddenly politically relevant game.
Oh my God! Yeah. What about Dave? Are you looking forward to punching Nazis in Wolfenstein?
In Wolfenstein and really anywhere else I get the opportunity to do so. It's funny. I liked the Wolfenstein reboot. It was fun, but there's definitely a kind of urgency to play it now. And I'm like, hey, I was going to be doing Assassin's Creed instead, but I do have the urge to shoot some Nazis.
It never really hurts. There's also Call of Duty World War II coming up with Nazi shooting involved.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And it seems like they might be going a little more into what the Nazis are than games have ever really done. You've seen sort of mentions of the Holocaust and that kind of thing. Which I don't think I've seen in the game.
The trailer, the story trailer for Call of Duty World War II was surprising in that regard, I thought.
Yeah.
And I think that's very cool. There's been a lot of controversy in that game around not having swastikas in multiplayer. But I think that I think I can forgive the no Nazis in multiplayer. I think I can forgive kind of all the weirdness of multiplayer if they really do tackle some good thematic stuff in the campaign.
Yeah, me too. I think I said this at the time, but multiplayer is already weird. Multiplayer is shooting against guys with names like Buttface34. And, it's already kind of not going to be the weighty topic of World War II. So I'm totally fine with them saving that stuff for the single-player campaign.
Plus there's a zombies mode.
There is also, which is obviously the most serious of all of it.
Yeah.
Well, and, in real war, there are kill streaks. If you kill enough guys and you get enough points, you can call down all sorts of, because that's what really happens in war.
Well, and that's why you get those medals, because if you have enough, then you can trade them in for lasers or body armor upgrades, all kinds of stuff.
Do you think kids playing this game will be really pissed off that you can't double jump and wall run?
Yeah, you got to imagine that's been sort of industry standard for 4 or 5 years, something like that. We've been seeing that in a lot of things. And I think that, if you're 18, you're maybe a little younger than that, you've been playing all of your modern FPSs in a world with a lot of crazy powers. It'll be a real adjustment.
Yeah,
it was a little weird to go back to when I was playing the beta, because even I obviously didn't grow up on Titanfall or anything, but it was strange after 6-7 years to go back and be like, I can't climb over this 3-foot invisible wall in front of me.
I loved it because I feel like mobility is inevitably going to favor people who are better at this game than me. If you can walk, I just can't keep track of all of it. And so if you just make it so there are less things I have to think of, I'm going to get a lot better at this game.
Yeah, well, we're all getting old now, so we're just slipping into that phase in our lives where we start to have worse reflexes than younger people. And yeah, when people are flying overhead and running on a wall next to you and sliding in front of you, it gets pretty challenging. I feel like for me, multiplayer Call of Duty every year is just this game of catch up, just trying to get back to the middle of the board.
Yeah.
You never will.
Yeah.
Sometimes
pretty much never will.
That's one of the things I like about the war mode, though, which is also similar to Battlefront 2. Is that when you have objective-based stuff, you can sort of feel like you're playing the game in a way that even if you're not quite as good as the other people in there, you can still contribute to the objectives, or even just take a sniper rifle and watch a door. You can do that.
Yeah. Run out and build the bridge.
Was a weird experience because that was that's kind of the most casual based shooter, aiming for a pretty casual market, just people who want to pick up and play. But I found the beta was pretty brutal, and I know there's stuff with upgrades and stuff we can go into, but it was just kind of a massacre in a lot of the matches where you're just in these little tiny rooms and these tiny doorways and like taking a couple shots and dropping and respawning, and like it to me it was very kind of not casual friendly in a way that was pretty weird.
Well, I think it was it was that level. I love the opening bit. You got sort of those 3 lanes, the big open central one, 2 on the side, and you can kind of run around, you can do stuff, and that gives you sort of more opportunity to play on the casual level. And then it funnels all 40 players into these tiny little areas, and it's just a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was at E3 this year, I played that map, and they actually had a contest running. If you were the #1 player of the game, you'd be entered into a contest to get to Gamescom for free. And for the first half of the game, I was the #1 player. I was really kicking ass, like all through that opening segment. Then as soon as we got funneled into that tight area, I dropped. Just could not survive in there. And then I played again in the alpha, and I felt the exact same way. It was fine when we were outside. As soon as we got in, it just, I guess I just don't really care for it.
Well,
I don't know.
That's when it becomes twitchy. That's when you can't like see the fighting, think about it, try and flank around.
Yeah.
The fighting's just there,
Yeah.
You team shot like instantly. Like if you poke your head out a doorway and there's 5 people all shooting at you, you just instantly die, even if time to kill is not like super, super low in this. But
yeah. Yeah, I didn't play the beta because I was gone. But what about that? What did you guys think of the other maps? Because there were other maps, right? Other than that one, that's the only one I played.
2. There's Starfighter mode, and then there was like a smaller objective-based one in like a forest. It was essentially like capture the flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Starfighter mode. I thought that was like, it has its issues because once you get people with like super overpowered fighters, it's crazy. But just generally speaking, I really enjoyed that mode, and I played it a lot. And I think that we've been missing kind of a good Star Wars dogfighting experience for a while now. So I'm probably the most excited about that out of all the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, I really liked that mode too. I felt that it wasn't still quite like a full-on dogfighting sim. For instance, I felt if I was being shot at, I would just kind of die. It was very unclear what you're supposed to do in that situation.
I just kept spinning. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm just going to hold this control stick in one direction until I either die or stop getting shot. Which, it's not a game built for that. But it was still a really good time. And the flip side of that is, you can kind of pick people off if you're in the right thing. The one thing I did notice in that, the same thing in the Galactic Assault, is that I never saw an attacking team win in either mode. The defenders won every time.
I saw it once in Galactic Assault. I never saw the Rebels win. I never saw them blow up the shields or whatever they were supposed to do. I can't tell if that's because it was just too hard and it's much easier to just get the fighter ticket number down than it is to blow up these weirdly placed shield generators, or if just no one knew how to do it yet, so everyone was just kind of flying around killing stuff as opposed to focusing on the objective.
Yeah, my guess is that the objective just doesn't really do it. Because if you're firing, like I said, it's really hard to stop getting shot at. So if you're firing at the objective, you're not focusing on killing people, and you're just going to get taken down, especially when they put the objectives in these tiny little spots,
Yeah, it took me 12 tries to even learn how to fly that that bombing run kind of area, and I still wasn't really good at it by the end. I think I blew up 1 out of 4 shield generators in all the matches I played.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
So what do you think, though? Is this going to be a better game than the first one, or is it too similar? Is it too early to say? Is the EA greed going to ruin everything?
I don't think the EA greed is going to ruin anything, but I think it's going to be better because there's going to be more of it. That was my main problem with Star Wars Battlefront.
I don't know. I'm worried about it's not EA greed. I think it's just dumbass design. Because I don't know how much you looked at the star cards, but some of those are just crazy. 40% extra health on a bomber, 20% fire rate, 10% damage, 30% heat sink. That is not a well-designed or well-balanced system.
Yeah.
Even kind of loot boxes aside, that is a really screwed up upgrade system where I can't imagine I'm playing Overwatch and I get an upgrade that where suddenly Reaper has a 40% faster fire rate, or Reinhardt is 40% more health, and like you could say they're different games, but man, some of those star cards. I am definitely worried about how they're going to affect the game once in a week or however long it takes. Like people have either grinded enough or paid enough to like have these kind of fully maxed loadouts where they can just wreck people. And I saw a little bit of that in the beta, but I have to feel like that's going to get worse on full release. So that aspect of it worries me, even if like the actual content of the game itself is a lot better.
I mean, I think we shouldn't discount the possibility that it's going to get balanced down, you know, because if what we're talking about is a numbers problem, numbers can change, you know. The basic setup is not great, but when you're in a big 20 versus 20 mode, things have a way of muddying through, I think. You know, you're not up against 20 people who are all like that, especially if they have good matchmaking. It's just hard for me to see it really moving the needle on a larger scale, especially for such a casual game.
Yeah, I just wonder if people are going to be upset if they're like, you know, killed by a Darth Maul for the 4th time, and then they look at the kill screen, it shows you, it's like, oh, he has 4 or 3 maxed out star cards, and it's just like this raid boss.
Yeah, but you're getting killed by Darth Maul all the time anyways, you know.
Exactly, so what happens when he's powered up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, that was one of my main problems, is that they went from the pickup to the battle point system. I thought there was something great about the pickup where, you know, any idiot could wind up Darth Vader, you know? And now, you know, I always hate systems that, like, take the best players in the game and they're like, well, these people need to be better at killing you.
Kill streaks,
yeah.
You know, yeah, kill streak. I hate systems like that,
yeah.
You know?
I agree. Kill streaks in COD just drive me crazy because when you're not at the top of the food chain, you're never getting them.
Yeah.
You just get like the lowest, you know, you get the most basic ones, but you never get anything really good. And then you're getting killed by these kill streaks by players who are already killing you a ton.
I feel like Call of Duty's pulled it back a little bit recently. Like it used to be like, oh, you've gotten 12 kills. Like here's a helicopter that will automatically get you like 9 more.
Yeah.
And they're not maybe that intense anymore. Like they'll get you a couple, but I feel like they don't kind of stack and chain the way they used to.
Yeah, I'd love it if it was the opposite. You know, get killed 6 times in a row. Here's a battle mech.
Mario Kart rules?
Yeah, exactly. Love Mario Kart rules.
At least if they had different options, like you know, different setups you could go into. I mean, I also just wish that a game like Call of Duty would have modes where there were just no kill streaks at all. And you could just play on an even footing, you know, or at least as even as they can make it. I mean, there's still going to be you know, different guns as you unlock the guns and whatnot. But
you know, that's sort of I was writing a thing about that now, about how, you know, we complain about pay to win and all that kind of thing, but we threw out the idea of the level playing field shooter a decade ago. You know, and which is too bad because that was really fun. You know, in the early days of Halo, when everyone would drop in with their pistol and go find guns, try and kill each other. And that's largely gone. And I'd love to see at least modes like that return. You know, I often
well, that's player unknowns.
That is definitely
that's
true.
one of the reasons that it's so successful. I think is that you do start pretty much on a level playing field, and then you know you have to go use your skill and your luck to gear up and stay alive and everything else. And it allows players who aren't the best shooters in the world to still do well by avoiding firefights as much as they can. And, you know, I think it just goes completely against the grain of a lot of these shooters that do reward the best players constantly with even further ways to kill their opponents. I think even if other developers don't copy player unknowns, they should look seriously at things like that are contributing to its success. Yeah, because I miss that too. I miss the old, like, you know, the old Counter-Strike and the old Day of Defeat and those games where you were on a level playing field.
Yeah, I think it just makes it harder, especially as games are trying to continue this games as service thing, as you're trying to keep selling, even in a spot when people want to buy used games for $20. If people are going to show up and already feel like they're 6 months behind and they just can't catch up, what's the motivation for coming into a new game?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about with Battlefront. Because like I don't even understand how you would pick up that game kind of 6 months from now just at base and try and go up against a player base that's been playing the whole time.
Yeah.
And not only is just better in skill, which happens in a lot of games and that's kind of unavoidable, but is literally physically more powerful than you at this point. And that's kind of a distinction that I don't think we run into too often, because like even in a game now like Destiny or something, you don't like, there's not like top god tiered gear where you can't compete without it. But Battlefront, that system, man, I'm concerned.
I've always
Well,
thought,
even with Destiny, oh, go ahead.
I've always thought Destiny should have a swap mode like the old mode in Halo, where just put all your characters in like a military T-shirt and cargo pants, give them the same weapon, and see who kills each other. You know?
Yeah,
that
I agree.
a long time ago I thought that Destiny would be good, having like just like here's one assault rifle variant, here's one pulse rifle, here's one shotgun, and just do it Halo style and just put them on the map like as engrams or whatever, and just at least have a mode like that if the whole PvP doesn't have to be like based around that. But I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Honestly, with Destiny, I feel like I've been gone for, almost a month and haven't played Destiny at all. Even a game like Destiny, you feel like you're kind of falling way behind if you don't play it all the time.
Good
Even
news
though
is Destiny 2 is much easier to catch up with if you want than the first one, but it's still, if you're still 30 power level behind, it can be kind of daunting.
Well, I think that's the thing they're doing with Destiny 2 is that they've made it easier to catch up and made it easier to hit max life, but that's also what's frustrating a lot of the dedicated players is that if it's easier to get to max life, there's less for them to do once they're at max life, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with Destiny game that I play for a while, check in with new content, that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is one thing that kind of weirds me out about games as they exist now. It's like players, they get into Destiny or Destiny 2 or whatever, and they play it a whole bunch, and then they run out of things to do, and it's like this big controversy, like, oh no, there's not enough endgame. But for me, it's like, that's okay, there's other games to play.
Yeah,
I don't need to be constantly...
You'd be amazed. I mean, like, I was saying some variant of that on Twitter, and guys like, yeah, but like, man, it's only been a month. And he's like, I have 9 days of game time, and I just have like nothing else to do. I'm like, you have 9 days of game time? And it came out a month ago.
$60 and got 9 days of game time. It's like, okay, that seems like good value.
Yeah, you got a lot of value for your money here. Like,
I mean, people want it to be WoW, and it's just not, and it's not going to be. And the release schedule is not conducive to making like as massive of a game as people want. Because like, I'm probably going to write about this soon, but like, the base problem everyone's ignoring with Destiny is that they did not have very much time to make it, and there was not time to kind of make more than what we see. And they literally had like 2 years because they spent all of year one doing pretty much nothing but DLC and like fixing the first game. And a 2 year essentially dev cycle for a game that's supposed to be that big. Like, I'm amazed they have what they have in there.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit in there. Quite frankly, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do. It's just that the reward system, there's more stuff to do than there was before. Just the reward system doesn't re-incentivize replayability the way it did before.
Well, it's so weird because like there was literally a quote from Luke Smith, the director, before the game launched that was like, oh, getting your first best devils is exciting, but like what happens when you get your 10th better devils that keeps it exciting, or your 11th or 12th? He's like, I think that's a question like we really need to answer. And like literally the game launched and the answer is every duplicate is just scrap metal, and there was no answer for that. And I find it weird that it kind of launched in that state when that was such a clearly, even they were predicting that was an issue, and it was just something they never resolved. So now we are where we are now.
Well, one of my problems is it's a sort of a different kind of endgame problem, where I'm fine with not getting a ton of loot reward, but I hate the Nightfall. The Nightfall used to be, I'd show up every week and I'd do the Nightfall, and it was fun, and it was a thing to do, maybe get an exotic engram. But as far as like fun time spent playing with my clan, adding a timer onto that is the absolute last thing I would want to happen. It's just stressful,
Yeah, it reminds me of the Black Spindle mission, which was the one-time mission in Destiny 1, and it was like my least favorite like skin crawling activity in the game because it was like so hard and so much pressure.
Yeah, and that was just one thing.
All the Nightfalls like that. I'm like, oh god, please no.
So it's just I've always hated timers in games. It's just like, God damn it.
Yeah, ever since I drowned in Sonic and ran out of my life.
Yeah, and you hear that, what was that sound effect?
Dun,
Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it was terrifying. It was just death closing in on you.
Yep, that's what I hear every time there's a timer in any game.
Yeah.
So other games, Shadow of War. You guys both playing that?
Nah. The first one was good, but it didn't leave me wanting to play it again, which feels like that's what this is.
Well, the second one is pretty much that
Yeah.
from what I've seen. I mean, maybe it'll get more advanced, but I'm maybe like 8 hours in or something, and I like it. It's fine, but I wrote about this today where it's like it's kind of Deus Ex syndrome where like Mankind Divided looked and sounded and felt exactly like Human Revolution, but I just didn't like it as much, and it's kind of like telling the same joke twice, or even stuff that worked really well the first time. Like if you're just doing it again and it's not expanded in like a meaningful way, it's just kind of like
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird feeling, but I'm still trying to get into it. But so far, it's been kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah, what I've liked so far about it, and I've only played a couple hours. I can't remember with the first game, but in this one you can climb any wall and you can jump off of any ledge and land and not die. Could you do that in the first game?
I think you could jump off anything. I don't remember the crazy speed wall climbing and running and stuff like that. They've definitely done some stuff with mobility where you
like
kind
double
of feel
jumping
like they definitely did not have double jumping.
Yeah, there's all these movement things that are fun. I enjoy the movement mechanics a lot. That I just feel like it is a little bit more fluid as you move about the map and whatnot, and I do appreciate that. What it is almost making it impossible for me to play is the story, which I find just both incredibly generic, but also just like so far removed from anything Tolkien, anything Middle Earth, that it's just, I don't know. It just feels really bad to me. I'm just grimacing constantly.
I mean, Tolkien didn't invent a sexy spider that wanted a separate ring, and
oh my god,
there's a sexy tree lady you'll meet later. So that's a
oh boy, another sexy.
Really going with the theme.
Games do not have enough sexy ladies in general. That's really
no, they don't. This is really novel, actually.
Really
Shelob was definitely. Yeah, obviously definitely pushing the envelope because, giant evil spiders like Shelob really needed to be scantily clad.
I think it would have been hilarious if we were just talking to a giant spider the whole time. Like that would have been way better.
I remember as a kid just reading about Shelob, and I'd always picture her as a sexy lady with boobs.
I picture pretty much everything that way when I was younger. So,
here's what I think could really. I haven't played it, but what I think would have really improved it in the first one, and sort of what I'm hearing the second one, is why are we playing as Talion? Why aren't we an orc?
I was just thinking that. I was
like, really fun.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Like he essentially enslaves all these orcs, for lack of a better term, to serve like him, like White Ranger dude, which is like kind of weird in its own way. But like, why can't we literally just be like a good orc or something, and
even a bad orc,
or just a new, like everyone's an orc. We're not worried about who's good and who's bad. We're just like
a different faction of the orcs or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because it would come across as a lot less weird. Because like I just recruited my first general guy, and he's like this growling dude who was like about to kill me 2 seconds ago, and then he literally has this line. He's like, "Bright Lord, Dark Lord, like I'll serve whatever," and like it's funny, but it's also the whole concept just comes across as like so unnervingly strange, where it's like, yeah, I'd rather just be an orc and just like not have to like mind control people to win them over and like fight with them. And I think that the
story wouldn't have to like interfere with Tolkien's story so much. You could just be a totally separate thing,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because I just find like this whole like making a new ring of power and the whole wraith and the it just drives me crazy. I can't handle it.
Yeah, they're trying to pull in all these different pieces of like Lord of the Rings that just don't fit together. Like, oh, we have Gollum and ring wraiths and kind of Sauron, but like I don't even really remember what timeline this is taking place in, or like
It's between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
is it? Okay, it's before.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just
yeah,
like
I know.
serious fantasy stuff just does not work at all.
Yeah, and it's just it's such a like generic version of Tolkien's world. I don't know. It takes so many liberties. The characters. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I have to kind of play it just pretending it's not Tolkien because it just bothers me too much otherwise. I don't know. I guess I'm just not very far into it, so I can't really speak to the story as it plays out. But so far, I'm just
literally the only thing that gets better that I've seen are just the orcs. The orcs are just good. That's it.
Well, there we go. This should have been an orc game.
Which is the game, you know.
1 out of 10.
Oh god.
I hope that should be your score. Just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, am I reviewing it? I don't even know. I guess
Aren't
I
you
will.
reviewing it? Yeah.
Was I on the list? I don't remember. Okay.
I think so.
Sure,
yeah, I
we'll
think
do
that
that.
you were in Shadow of War.
Well, then I really needed that code.
Yeah, that's ironic. Yeah, Super Mario Odyssey. Have you guys played that at all yet?
No, I haven't.
Or
No, I don't think codes are out. Are they? I don't know.
No. I played it at E3, and I also played Assassin's Creed Origins at E3. So I've tried these games out.
Edge has played it. They got a code, and they reviewed it.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you one guess. What the score was? It's a score you can guess in one.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Wait, they scored it? Wait, what?
They've already got it, and they scored a 10 out of 10. Wow, imagine that.
How did that even happen? Okay.
Yeah, well, I think it's what's happened. I don't know how they got it. I haven't heard of anyone else having it, but it's a print magazine, so it's not like they put it out there, but print has a way of leaking out.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's not a huge surprise that it's highly rated. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be great, but
I just feel like it's what video games needs right now. Like, I don't want 4K. I don't want your high polygon counts. I want to throw a hat on the frog, and I want to be the frog.
Super Mario Odyssey, be the frog.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly seeing weird parallels to Shadow of War, where he's like assimilating.
Yeah. Well, I think it raises a very interesting question: is are we playing? Have we ever played as Mario, or is Mario just some plumber that has long been possessed and deformed by this hat?
Oh man,
have we been the hat the whole time?
Can't handle that. It's too early for that.
Yeah, no, I know. I need to be on more drugs right now to talk about that. Yeah, so when I played it, I played a couple levels, and it's a very strange game. It uses motion controls a lot. No. That's one thing that I was not expecting.
Optionally?
It is sort of hard to say because when you're playing at a thing like E3,
sure.
And you just like got two guys standing there with you, and you're just learning the controls, it's very difficult to like get a handle on the game. Yeah. But you use your motion controls to throw your hat. You use them to climb things. You use them in all sorts of different ways. So just get ready for a very motion control intensive game.
There's got to be a way to not do that.
Yeah, because like, what if you're playing on the subway?
In handheld mode?
Yeah, there is, but I'm not sure how well it works. I don't know how they've. This is the question that we're gonna have to.
I never sent back my left Joy-Con to be fixed, so
yeah, I actually
requires motion controls. I'm screwed.
I just bought my second Switch after losing the first one, so that's great.
You lost it, huh? The downside of the Switch.
I know, especially without cloud save, so now I have to unlock all that stuff in Mario Kart again.
Oh yeah, that sucks. Wow. And Zelda.
Yeah, especially before Champions Ballad comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Zelda in a while. Yeah. So, anyways, Mario. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do want to try it without the motion controls, but they weren't terrible. I mean, I actually like kind of how Nintendo has been integrating motion into Switch games, like Zelda with aiming the bow. I actually thought that worked pretty well.
Yeah, I don't think Paul and I are liking that.
I'm not. I just don't like gyro aiming, and like I know there's a couple Splatoon contingent, or like gyro aiming is the only way to play. But personally,
I would never want to with a shooter, but I definitely don't like aiming a bow with a gamepad. I don't really like aiming with. I don't like aiming, especially when you're in a third person game and then you have to like aim in first person suddenly, or just I don't know. It's always throws me off. Like Horizon Zero Dawn.
I was just going to cite that as a good example.
Yeah, I liked that.
No, I hated aiming with the bow. I don't know. I was really down on Horizon.
I just feel like I don't like gyro controls even in games that use them exclusively. Like if I'm buying phone games and that kind of thing, I can't stand them. And in Zelda, I mean, like the roly ball puzzles, those were just terrible.
I didn't care
the
for
vast
that
majority of those were like.
I mean, I'm using the word.
I was literally holding my gamepad upside down at one point to try and beat it. It's like this cannot be how this is supposed to go.
Yeah, and I just feel like, again, if you're playing while you're traveling, if you're doing all kinds of things, the number of ways this can go wrong is just really high. And also, if it's just bad to start with.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes with Mario. I don't know. It'll probably have perfectly fine non-motion controls, but of course, that's what they're pushing because it's Nintendo.
I'm still scarred from Star Fox Zero and how that was awful. Unavoidable, awful gyro motion, everything, and it was like that was one of the worst games I've played in probably 5 years, and like I'm not exaggerating.
I agree. It was awful.
Yeah,
I think I played 2 levels before I gave up on it. I mean. It was just very bad.
I don't think I got much past that.
Yeah. The other game, that Assassin's Creed Origins, played a little bit of that, maybe 20 minutes of that at E3, and it's really changed a lot. The combat is absolutely completely different now. It uses a sort of watered down Dark Souls combat style. You lock on, you have like heavy and light attacks, you can dodge, you can do all that. It's very much that same kind of system, though much easier. And I don't know. I'm honestly, that's something that I kind of have been asking for a while with Assassin's Creed. Like they need overall combat. Combat is too generic and easy. And now that I've got it, I wasn't like really thrilled, honestly. I went back and played Black Flag and I was like,
interesting.
This is I don't really care about the combat that much actually. And in Black Flag, you can kind of avoid it to some degree, and just kind of do the fun stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I just, this is the problem with criticism. You write something, you say, wow, I wish it was this way. Then you get your wish and it's like...
and then a multinational corporation spends tens of millions and billions of dollars doing it.
Yeah.
I from what I haven't played it before, I've seen, I'm looking forward to the concept of the combat.
Yeah.
But, if there's difficulty levels, that helps a lot. That if I don't like it, I can skip it. For me, I'm a sucker for Assassin's Creed, mostly because I love the historical settings. I'm a big fan of that, and I'm really glad that they've gone back to doing, I think, what they're best at. Which is going to places where we don't see a lot of games. That was what was so hard about Syndicate. Is I signed up for this game to play in the Crusades, not to do another game in Victorian London. And ancient or Ptolemaic Egypt just seems like a much better place for that kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, I like the setting. I only played a bit. There's definitely a lot of changes that will make it feel less like an Assassin's Creed game, but certainly that in that regard, the setting, you're back into ancient or classical Egypt, I guess. And that is pretty cool. I'm a little worried about how they're going to handle the story because they're kind of hit and miss with story, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little on the nose.
Miss with story.
Yeah, mostly miss with story.
There was Black Flag.
Black Flag was so
that was
good.
A hit on story. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Is there modern day stuff still, or are we just done with that? Just done pretending that matters.
No, I don't think they're ever going to leave that behind. I didn't see. I don't know what.
I haven't heard anything about modern day.
No, I have. I really hope they finally lose that. God, I hate them. I remember when we first saw the trailer for the first Assassin's Creed. It was like, you play as an assassin in the Crusades. What a great idea. And then you boot up the game and you're like a bartender in 2007 or 8. You're like, well, this is not what I signed up for.
That was kind of hilarious when they did that. It's like a total surprise, though. Because that kind of caught everyone totally off guard. Like, there were hints about it, but it was so random, no one understood what the hints were.
Well, yeah, it's like, why would anyone see that coming?
Yeah.
I remember getting that game and being so thrown off and hating that. I just hated it because it was so cool to like ride your horse and like be in the city and just that setting, and then it was just so jarring. And I've never really recovered from that. I can't ever like the modern day stuff.
Yeah,
but I just don't
thought
think
it had
it's
the potential to be cool. Like when they first started it, like I thought it was going to lead up and like they'll have 2 games, then they'll be like, okay, and then we get present day, and then you're a present day assassin as Desmond, and you learned all these skills, and you're in like New York City. That's where I thought the series was going, but then they just took a turn, and then like there was the one, was it Black Flag, where you were essentially working at like a video game studio that was like
you're working at
owned by
Ubisoft.
the evil company, and I'm like, what is happening? Why?
Yeah, I just remember
why
like
did they do this?
like in Assassin's Creed 2, you unlock Venice and you're like, oh, canals, this is going to be great. And it's like, well, would you like to play this other unrelated game for 2 hours before you go to Venice? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is kind of remarkable. I will say on Ubisoft's behalf that it's great that they took a year off. It's great that they've, honestly, now I've been looking at their season pass. And it's $40 for all this extra content, and there's no loot boxes, and there's none of this. It kind of feels like a game from the past,
The past,
I don't
like
know.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Like
Yeah.
I know,
The good
it's
old
so
days.
crazy. Like it's like
It was hilarious because there was like a screenshot of a loot box, and like everyone like lost their minds because they're like, "Oh my god, Assassin's Creed 2." And like that's a reasonable assumption at this point. But it turns out it's just some sort of like gambling mechanic that's like a currency dump or something, and not like a for sale loot box. But I just thought that was funny. That was like the initial reaction was like, of course they're going to sell loot boxes and legendary armor and horses and whatever. But
yeah, it's now speaking of loot boxes, I think
Okay,
so.
Sure.
Dave has said in the past that he doesn't mind them, and so we're going to argue about that now.
Okay. I mean,
What's the matter? Why are loot boxes okay?
Well, I think okay is the right word to be using here. I would, of course, prefer that there were no loot boxes. They're immersion breaking. They're kind of dumb. But at the end of the day, I just find it really hard to care all that much about them. So long as I'm still having fun with this game, so long as the core gameplay is intact, whether it's a single or multiplayer game, so long as I can still progress in the game without spending money, I'm fine with it. I think that the economics of video game production and distribution are broken. Games still cost $60, but they cost $20 like 3-4 months in. They cost more and more money to make. And it's just something has to give. And right now we have this bizarre half-assed Band-Aid solution, which is loot boxes, which is trying to get more money when possible. I would prefer, I wouldn't really prefer the video games to be more expensive. I don't think that's a great idea. I would prefer that we didn't release 4K consoles. I would prefer that we move towards a Nintendo direction and move towards prioritizing gameplay and aesthetics and actual visual work over the sort of labor-intensive stuff that goes into making photorealism. That would be the best solution for this. But so long as people are going to demand photorealism, video games are a massively risky endeavor, and I see nothing really all that wrong with trying to get a little bit more money out of selling them.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on how it's done in a lot of ways. But I think even the best way it's done is something like Overwatch, where it doesn't affect gameplay at all. It's just skins. But even that, I guess it feels to me sometimes like they just take it too far. And now you've got stuff like Battlefront 2, where it just does feel like it's going to impact gameplay in a kind of big way. And I guess I wonder where you draw the line, really. I mean, and I think even if we went and we started prioritizing the things that you're saying should be prioritized, which I agree with. I think even if the game industry moved that way, they would continue. I mean, loot boxes are just too profitable.
Well,
to
and
get rid of
now that they've started, they're not going to see much of a reason to stop. But to the Battlefront point, these are questions of balance, and I don't think it's a matter of drawing a line.
It's not only a question of balance, though, in Battlefront's case, because in that sense, they essentially kind of, in my opinion, ruined the whole progression system because they made the entire... It's not just like, oh, they have loot boxes that give out items. It's that the loot boxes are the core of the whole progression system. Like, the new star card system, you only rank up characters by getting more star cards for that character. You only get upgrades by opening loot boxes, whether you're paying for them or earning currency. And the entire thing is now based on random drops because of how integrated loot boxes were into the game. So to me, that's an issue because it's not just a power problem where, okay, we'll adjust some damage values and it'll like the drops will be okay. But it's that they took kind of the progression system of a wide variety of shooters, Call of Duty, Battlefield, the old Battlefront, and they warped it into this like random drop based system that is just, I'd say, inarguably more frustrating than kind of a normal progression system where you unlock this thing with this gun if you use it in combat, or you unlock this perk with this character if you use them. So that to me is one example where even the concept of loot boxes fundamentally changes like kind of the DNA of the game to make it worse just to support the notion of loot boxes in the first place.
No, I can see that, and I still think it's an implementation problem rather than a conceptual problem. You know, I think that a loot box could be fine, and they need to work on this to make it better. But the problem,
I said in an article I wrote where like I would have been okay with like a Battlefront loot box system where it's like, oh, I'm going to get like different trooper armor or like decals for my fighter, or like there's a million things they could have done.
Yeah, especially Star Wars. There's the aesthetic variety
that were more Overwatches, but instead, like, I don't even know how they fix the current system because it is the whole progression system. Like, you can't. Yeah. It's a month until launch. They're not going to change that. So that's staying. Yeah, so like, that's a case where loot boxes could have done one thing. Yeah,
you know, I'd be fine with balancing it down and just having a progression system that doesn't impact gameplay a lot. I like that. I don't like progression systems in shooters. I you know, like we were talking about earlier, it's not that level playing field thing.
Well, this is the worst of both worlds because it's not only a progression system, it's a totally unbalanced progression system based on random drops that give huge power swings. So it's like the worst of all possible worlds.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of all put together.
But if we're talking with, you know, month out fixes, you know, I think you could actually end up in a perfectly fine spot by dramatically reducing the efficacy of star cards. And then, you know, we don't have the other progression system. And then we'd actually be sort of cobbling together an experience that I think is okay, you know?
I think if they just cut like 30% of the most problematic star cards, like 40% health and fire rate, like if those are just gone and those should not be increasable stats, like then that would solve a lot of the problems, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
I don't even like star cards. I think
I don't like star cards to begin with.
Like, what are we going to do at this point, right? Well, you know, I don't think I'm probably going to get too into Battlefront 2. Just like the first one, like I like it, but I'm not sure it's going to be.
I'm excited for the campaign. I'll say that.
Yeah,
you know, Battlefront's great to pick up and play. It's just
it's just very casual.
Split screen co-op.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be. I'm looking forward to playing with my son because that that right there is any game with split
screen anymore. There's like
Call of Duty.
Mario Kart.
Call of Duty against bots. Bots,
Okay.
Yeah, which we do all the time, and it's great fun, But so on this loot box issue, so I've likened them to gambling, but because when I'm like opening loot boxes in Overwatch, it feels like I'm playing on a slot machine, and I think it really does play into a lot of the same areas of your brain that a slot machine taps into. But today, the ESRB came out with a statement, which I'm going to read. ESRB does not consider loot boxes to be gambling. While there's an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive in-game content, even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. We think of it as a similar principle to collectible card games. Sometimes you'll open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eye on for a while, but other times you'll end up with a pack of cards you already have. So that's the ESRB's.
That's funny. I feel like it's like we don't think it's gambling. We consider them to be like this other thing, which is also kind of like gambling.
Yeah. Exactly.
I guess the argument is that it's that has existed for so long without people like raising a fit about it that just importing it into games is okay. But I don't know. Like this is. I feel like this is really a complicated issue, like probably the most complicated issue gaming has come across in quite some time, because there's so many facets to it, and like I see the bones of that argument, yet that doesn't change the fact that like I can pay $200 to find a exotic sparrow and a Destiny Bright engram. Like, and if that isn't its own variant of gambling, like I don't know what is. But then again, like, should any game with loot boxes be rated M or AO or something? Like, is that kind of a reasonable ask? I don't know.
And I think an interesting question, is if it's not gambling, why are they doing it this way? Right. If you see other games where you just like might buy a thing for $5, buy a special piece of armor for $5. We've largely gone away from that because obviously the psychological impulses behind gambling are going to push people to spend more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is where the whole publisher argument of like, oh, well, it's just a time saver. Like, we're just building these because people don't have time to play, and grind out everything. So for people who want to spend the extra money, it's a time saver. But that doesn't explain the gambling component. Like, if I wanted to just flat out buy a legendary orc in Shadow of Mordor, and there was like an orc store for $10 or whatever, I could do that. But nope, there's loot boxes, which is you're buying a chance at one of 500 different orcs, and it's not a time saver because I could spend even more time like gambling and still not finding the thing I want. So it bothers me whenever that argument is brought up. Or like implement cheat codes if you're so concerned with
especially in a single player game.
And like they're just being really disingenuous when they say that, and that bothers me.
I think for me, at the end of the day, it just still comes up with a big shrug. They're not great. I don't like them, but they're an easier thing to talk about than some of the harder problems with the economics of the industry. And at the end of the day, online shooters have not been balanced for a very long time. And in those instances, it really is a time saver thing. You're buying the exact same thing that in Battlefront 2 that you would be getting from actually playing the game. And whatever, like if I'm designing my perfect game, it doesn't look that way. But I'm designing my perfect game.
The thing with loot boxes is the people who usually are complaining about them the loudest are the people who are buying them most often. Yeah. And I say that as someone who qualifies as that. And the problem is like, I genuinely think like some people just have are more susceptible to an impulse of this. And like,
oh yeah,
I'm not like some crazy addict or something, but I have definitely spent hundreds of dollars on loot box type items across a number of games. And there is like an itch in my mind, whereas there might not be in your mind, where I feel like to a certain extent, depending on how it's set up, like I'm kind of actively being preyed upon. And there are people that are way worse than me that are spending thousands on things. And like at that point, it's like, well, how much is self-control? Like how much is exploiting like a literal character flaw to make money? So that's where it gets kind of weird. Whereas like some people are just like, I don't know, loot boxes, whatever. I've never bought a microtransaction, and like that's awesome. But there's a whole set of people that it's a lot harder to just kind of shrug that off, especially if it's a game they really like and content they really want.
Yeah,
it's funny. I think I have, like a lot of people that are related to games certainly have addictive tendencies, but that one hasn't done it to me for whatever. I like buying loot boxes. I get that little dopamine rush when I buy them, but for whatever reason, I've been able to avoid it. What I spend a lot more money on microtransactions are like in Pokemon Go, where I play with 9 incubators, I guess, and there is a bit of a random action to the egg system. But, I know exactly what I'm paying for, and by and large, I pay for it,
Yeah.
I literally think I do trace it back to like opening Pokemon cards, like they said, like that is where it started for me. It's hilarious because like I'm not even I don't even gamble in real life. Like I don't go to this like. I have played blackjack or whatever here and there, but like I'm not a gambler. Like I don't do that. Yet this is something that's really like that hooks me. Like, man, I gotta have every Overwatch skin, even though I haven't played a full game of Overwatch in like 2 months.
As a side thing, I can't believe I was just thinking about Pokemon cards. I've had this conversation several times in the past couple of months, where someone's like, "Oh no, so and so they play the original Pokemon, the cards," and I'm like, it was a game first. It was a video game. And
No.
yeah, I can't believe how many people I
No
talked
way.
to think it started with cards.
That's hilarious. I've
Yeah.
never heard that.
I hadn't until recently. It's happened several times in a very strange way.
That's hysterical.
That is pretty funny. One time when I was working at a bookstore, this lady came in and she saw How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And she said, "Oh, look, they made it into a book." I was like, "Oh my God, I got to quit this job."
Yeah.
It's funny that we're having this talk about loot boxes because, I mean, if you just think back a few years, it was all about DLC and like, you know, that idea that it's like the on-disc DLC and like, oh, they made this before they cut it out of the game. And, you know, slowly everyone sort of just accepted it. Okay, it's fine. We're going to accept it. And then, you know, then it was microtransactions and then that's fine. And then now it's loot boxes. I mean, are we going to see like time gates and stuff on AAA games soon?
Time gates are next. That's
Is that coming? Because that is where I truly have to draw the line. That is where it really starts to impact
where
gameplay.
You just physically cannot play the game.
Yeah, you can't. You have to stop until you put more money into the arcade machine. Dave, are you still here, or are you?
Arcades. I think he's here, right?
Yeah, I cut out.
I'm seeing
a
a
there.
VoIP connection has
Erik,
failed.
So.
No,
But yeah, let me try reloading this one.
I don't hear him. Do you hear him?
I hear him.
Okay, I don't. For some reason, it's just not on my end. So, well, oh, now he's gone completely. Do you see him on yours?
No, he dropped. I think he said he was going to try and reapply.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're back. Okay. Oh my God, crisis averted. Yep. All right, now you're back. Goodbye, everybody. Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, is time gates? That's what I see as like maybe the future. Is that? Do you think that publishers would be that? I know they'll be that greedy, but will they be that brave?
Oh man, I don't know. I'd say anything's possible at this point. Like,
what kind of time gates are we talking about?
Like you run out of questing energy in Shadow of War and must recharge at your base for 45 minutes to do the next mission.
Yeah, that'd be a big thing in a $60 game. Yeah. Certainly, I don't mind them in
I can't even play mobile games.
I mean, mobile games it's different because you're just kind of playing those like throughout the day. Like you're rarely sitting down to just intensely play a mobile game for like 2 hours. So like I don't love them in mobile games either, but it at least sort of works for the format. But
yeah,
there's something I really like about them in mobile games, which I feel like it can be thought of as a feature rather than a bug. Or, I'm playing this game Dominations, which is basically a cross between Civilization and Clash of Clans, made by one of the Civilization guys. And I've been working on my town, for like 3 years. Slowly, a little bit at a time. But there's something really pleasing about that, about dropping in my 4 million gold, upgrading my cannon. It's going to take 2 weeks to do it at this point, where I am in the game. But that's how that game fits into my life.
See, but you're not.
I like the constancy.
You're not their target audience. I'm just gonna throw that. You're like.
No,
so you're like you've got like immunities to like loot boxes and paying to speed up progress. So you're basically like you're the most hated customer out there. They want whales who will spend. They don't want patient people. They want people who have instant gratification problems. And
see, I don't know. I think I am a valuable kind of customer because I don't mean to be setting myself up as some kind of like Buddha-like paragon of self-control. I've played this game for like 3 years, and every once in a while I'll throw $10 in. And I think, well, I'm not the most quested after customer. The most quested after one is $5,000 a month, something like that. I think that players like me do form a more important part of the free-to-play base than people necessarily want to consider all the time.
Oh, sure. No, I agree.
Both, I think a player that spends, I think I was playing Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and maybe it was $10 a week. Actually, I know it was that because I had it worked out, so I could buy I can get both my free gems and my pay gems, and I worked out to a pretty good pace with $10 a week. I felt fine about that. And I feel like that kind of player is a really
now $10 a week is $40 a month. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. But I was playing a lot of it at the time.
We found Dave's secret weakness.
I don't know.
Yes, we have.
Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I stopped playing since they added in too much. It became too much to handle, and I had to stop.
Well, I think I don't know. I think it's just there's something for everyone, I guess, and it's just interesting to see how the game industry sort of pokes and prods and tests what's acceptable to audiences writ large. I think we've definitely broken the seal on loot boxes. There's no turning back now. But there will always be
some pulling
something
back, though. I mean, because
a little bit.
Well, it'll be tuning. You know, it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, like Forza had to walk some stuff back, and like Blizzard has readjusted their drop rates because they were just too awful, and like the concept of loot boxes aren't going away. But I think if with enough moaning, I guess, and like, you know, at least enough noise that they can be walked back into something somewhat more reasonable. But I guess.
Yeah, and
you know, this is exactly what happened with DLC as far as a concept. You know, over the past decade or so, is that they started it. There were parts of it that were great. It was basically expansion packs. People got a little overzealous, and then you know, it just people found a balance. The fans and the developers found a balance and a place to live, and that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then everyone's happy, which is good. But then there will be that new thing. There will always be some new thing.
Everyone's never happy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, seriously, this is the world of video
No
games.
one's happy in fucking video games. I mean, yeah, God. I find myself with all the video game controversies just tuning out more and more and more. Like, I just can't even hear any of them anymore. It's just too much. Like, it's just crazy to me, like where we've come from the days of like the Mass Effect 3 ending to now. I just feel like everyone is even.
Yeah.
I know, they were simpler times.
Story controversy.
Yeah, like, wouldn't it be great?
Yeah, the controversy literally about whether or not we published a good story. The Mass Effect 3, you know, it's funny because that had its issues too, you know, and I think you can sort of trace
it with
back
DLC.
the seeds of a lot of the worst. They fix it with DLC. You can trace back the seeds of a lot of toxicity to moments like that. Yeah, but I don't know. There's just so much of the controversy today. It just feels so reactionary. Trying to keep people out of games, or even like keep developers out of their own games. Keep people who are making games from having ownership over things. It's a rough place to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm off to go write my 5 reasons Niantic is screwing up Pokemon Go posts. So.
Oh, 5 is
only 5.
You know, that's a different matter. What people go into now, they have a responsibility to the world to fill it with Pokemon, because the world is better when it's filled with Pokemon. And I really do feel like there's something a little bit different about that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody for listening. It was fun. We had a really long episode this week, and that's great. Hopefully it was not too incoherent. But yeah, catch us next time. Peace.